Hello and welcome back, everyone. Once again, we are reading from Tales of the Ambassador. This is Ruined Rider. And a little late this week, I know. Classes have been crazy here and my schedule has not been accommodating. I will try to get the next part out faster, but we will see how things go. I hope everyone's having a great day. And without further ado, Tales of the Ambassador, Part 6. Our colony ships were proud of the Federation, of course, but having them seemed quite the shock for our tentacled ambassador. And here I was frustrated at how slow construction's been. We got 12 billion people sitting on Earth right now. 30 million or so living among the stars is hardly a drop in the bucket. Hotpot's been getting them off in the first place. We've managed to avoid mass starvations, but even if half the ocean's now floating farmland, it's hard to increase the area of farming further without risking massive damage to aquatic life. After all, infringing on shores and oceanic migration lanes is strictly prohibited by international law, and even vertical farming has its limits. 10,000 settlers each, from 3 launch points is our limit right now. One in Central America, one in North America, one in Central Asia. 30,000 a day. Almost 11 million a year. That's not even a sixth of the children born. We're still only offsetting the population growth, not even outpacing it. 5 more launch points will be finished in 5 years. When they're done, we'll almost be breaking even, at least. Even so, with 3 colony ships and 11 million a year going into space right now, we're actually a little ahead of the planned schedule. Still, could be faster. Hyperdrive will help us move resources faster, of course, but even if our ships can keep up with the intergalactic standard, doesn't mean we can actually harvest and process those resources any faster. There's no way only their hyperdrive tech is advanced, and lots hinging on us getting that tech. If we can harvest and produce faster, if we can get people off this world easier, things will be a lot better for the people left on Earth. It's damn important these negotiations go well. I take it you're surprised? I asked here. Not that I had any frame of reference on how an alien would seem surprised, but his tentacles were shifting around an awful lot for calm. You don't understand how unusual this is, human Tom. You are still considered, and only recently still were, a pulse-class species. Before understanding the energy production methods to produce enough power to allow hyperdrives to be feasible, making enough ships and production to have any sizable impact in the local system should be financially and logistically untenable. If you were a united species, it would be a little bit more understandable, but your federation is only an alliance of individuals, not a unified whole. The only technology I can think of that should be available and scalable within your people's range of understanding is fusion power. The problem is that any sapient that's actually relied on nuclear technology has either poisoned their world to be inhabitable or turned it to weaponry and wiped themselves out. Yet your people have already constructed colonial ships and a not inconsiderable space fleet. How did your kind accomplish this? You're pretty knowledgeable yourself, dear. Glad we got such an experienced technological representative. I've been worried after going through what we learned from your drone that our tech would be too primitive for you to be familiar with. Your guess is actually right. We discovered nuclear fission around 2 centuries ago and nearly wiped ourselves out on several occasions. Worst of all being World War III. But we eventually managed to find far safer ways to create nuclear power and discovered fusion a little under a century ago, in the middle of that same war. Now what little waste we make is ejected into space where we expand our efforts. Yeah, I reckon wiggling tentacles were like a dog's tail for Tyr. He were twitching quite a bit now. Forgive me, but I have to go. Thank you for your time, Human Tom. High Mother Mikri will contact you when we are finished settling in and are ready to begin negotiations. Tyr got up and left, clearly flustered. I stayed where I was and continued to sip my coffee. Sharing a bit of Human's crazier side worked better than expected. It's only a little bit, but we have a better understanding of the intergalactic community's common sense. Looks like Deathworlders are a rare breed. We'll have to be careful not to scare them too much. Lean back in my chair, wishing I had a drink right about now. Treading the line between terrifying them so much they become enemies and being too dangerous to take advantage of will be a challenge. Why do I always get the hard jobs? I checked the drone's briefing on the way. Sure enough, it was all there. Summarized and highlighted information of humanity being at war time and time and time again. The typical post-industrial climate crisis rapidly developing sapiens face forced an already overpopulated humanity into wars over resources and survival. That was around 100 of their years ago. Their population was at 8.5 billion when World War III, implying two prior, happened. A little over 500 million people lost their lives in the conflict, and society reshaped itself in the desperate climate of war. Resources started the conflict, but it escalated far out of hand. A collective of humans seeking an end to the war organized a global uprising from the underground, and the starved and war-weary people overthrew the old governments to form the Human Federation. The lack of resources that started the war was now what drove their united fragments forward. Technology had exploded in the time of war, and the debts of the old powers were voided to make room for a new economy. It seems the humans were more unified than I gave them credit for. They now had a purpose, and their progress quickly became terrifying. The very basis of merit was overhauled in society to put the very best person in every role. If a human wanted to be certified to work in a field, they went to a testing office and demonstrated their ability and knowledge. It didn't matter where they got it from, and they were welcome to retake their test after a short interval. Community needs became proving grounds to acquire certifications and the required civil service commitment needed for all members of governance across the Federation. Those that could work were required to without exception until the starvation crisis was solved. Food was the first focus, and over time the humans pushed their food production beyond what predicted maximums would have had possible, and began to construct farmland on top of the ocean to compensate for the land they lost in the crisis. Farming the ocean led to another population surge, which led to more farming, which led to more population, resulting in today's figure of 12 billion. As Earth was reaching its limits, the humans returned their gaze to the stars. They were united. But they still had a great feat to accomplish. And yet they did. They managed to terraform their planet and colonize space, all within a century. Before I got halfway to Mickery's room, I received an alert for an emergency meeting that answered the question if she'd seen the briefing anyway. I changed my direction and made my way to the docking bay. We decided that any emergency meetings would be held on our ship. It wasn't long before everyone was assembled. I was surprised to find Nova in a state of rage, however.
"This is an outrage," Neva growled. "They dare to defile the sanctity of creation? It would have been barbaric enough if they simply augmented their God-given forms, but they've even delved into the forbidden studies and turned themselves, their food, even their companions have been altered into abominations. Hi, Mother Mickery, this is absolutely unacceptable. The Hilaki will not accept a species such as this. It would be the greatest of heresies."
Calm yourself, Neva. The Alliance is a place of open faith. There is no law against what the humans have done. Only the common hesitancy to avoid a repeat of the Hive has prevented the study of biology. I'm sorry, I say. What's happened? I assume the emergency meeting was in regards to the production capabilities of the Human Federations. Humans augment their bodies? The summary on humans was massive, for the record. I still had only had time to go over what was directly relevant to my field. Nerva was beyond speaking, but Mickery answered me. Yes, the humans use professional and recreational cybernetic augmentation. It is likely that our liaison, who claims a specialty in the field, has a fair number himself. More importantly though, the humans regularly make use of direct genetic manipulation. In fact, from what we know, they are remarkably skilled at it. There are even quite a few humans now able to breathe underwater and live extended lifespans. Though it seems it's a process that gets significantly more difficult the older the subject is. Another surprise. Genetic manipulation in itself was considered even more dangerous than nuclear power. It was why we now had to deal with the horrible threat known as the Hive. Its study was thus intergalactically banned amongst official members. There is no need to ban what they have already discovered, though. As long as they agree to cease their research after becoming a member, there should be no problems, correct? I reply.
Hi, Mother. How can I lucky ever fight alongside the people who would willingly abandon their sacred forms? They are heretics, on par with the Legion and its demons. Enough, Neva. As I said before, the Alliance is a place of open faith. Those who hold religious belief among its members are welcome to each worship as they please, but no faith has the right to prevent or inhibit another sapient. Tyr is correct that as long as the humans concede to halt their research into biological manipulation, they are more than welcome, especially considering their accomplishments so far. Neva looks to the only one of us who has so far refrained from speaking. In response, Yugrak opens his beak. The humans are a dangerous species who do not hesitate to pursue technologies that have wiped out empires in the past. They are a species that have carved out oceans of their own blood and can kill without mercy or remorse. They learn faster than we've ever seen of a sapient so young, and even seem willing to abandon their home entirely once they have the means. Neva, I believe it is right to be wary of them. I raise a tentacle in protest, but Yugrak stops me. However, the humans have also used those technologies without destroying themselves, as have always been the case before. They've welcomed us with great hospitality and restraint. For Death Wielders, when their wars ended, they put their ingenuity to the benefit of the people and continued to grow and mature. I believe that human ideologies have the potential to bring a wave of change to the Alliance as a whole, and we should welcome them. Welcome them carefully and with a firm hand, but welcome them all the same. Having lost his potential supporter, Neva goes to leave the room, only for Mikri to stop him. Neva, what are your intentions? If we are to continue with the plan of bringing the humans into the fold, I need to witness their honor. The file on the human Tom mentioned he was a warrior. I wish to speak with him. If he is willing, I also wish to spar and to see how the humans fight. I must know if they are capable of understanding honor. Do not only consider this my will, High Mother, but the will of the Hilaki. After a long pause, High Mother Mikri responds. Very well then. Thank you everyone for coming to listen. That is the end of part 6. It was a little denser this time, and I'm going to be looking forward to the action in part 7. As always, I hope everyone has an amazing day. I hope to see you next time. Please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and stay awesome.